Hello, today I welcome you to my world of watches, and in this video I'm going to show you pretty much everything about this Pagani Design PD1651. Let's see what it's all about. So today we are touching up on another Chinese watch. Last week we took a look at a great budget Nautilus homage from WatchesChecked, and this time it is this Pagani Design PD1651, which is an homage to the Rolex Yachtmaster. For those who have been watching my channel for a while now, you know that here we are focusing on the affordable end of watches that give the best amount of value for your money, and this one is a great example. This is not my first time that I review a Pagani Design. I also reviewed the PD1661 model, which is another great spec monster, and I've also bought and sold quite a few of them, so I know what value these watches hold. For the price of $88, you get a sapphire crystal, Seiko NH35A movement, and 100 meters of water resistance, just to name a few, so you get a really good package. Of course, because you get so much for your money, there are quite some places where Pagani Design just cheaped out, but overall from all of the Paganis that I've had, this one is the only one that I considered keeping, and I did. In the next video, we will be taking a look at a very interesting Casio F91W jelly version, so if you're interested in the review of this one, make sure to subscribe. Okay, now let's take a look at this Pagani Design. As always, starting off with the packaging, if you've ever bought at least one Pagani Design watch, you know that the packaging doesn't change on any of them. Nice, simple branded black box. Inside you're greeted with a branded polishing cloth, instructions manual as well as guarantee card on the side, and the watch itself. Everything is packed nicely. As I've said previously, Pagani Design offers a very nice packaging if you want to gift this watch, for example. Since this is an homage to the Rolex Yachtmaster, the proportions of this one are almost the same. 40mm in diameter, 45mm if you include the crown, 13mm thick not including the cyclops, lug to lug is 47mm, has 20mm lug width and weighs 144 grams, sized up for my 7-inch wrist. For me personally, the best size for a watch is between 38 and 40mm. Of course, there are exceptions like for example G-Shock, but in this size range the watch fits the best and is compatible for most of the wrists. Same thing applies here. 40mm looks very nice, doesn't go over the edges of the wrist and feels very comfortable. There's really not much to say about the size as these are classic measurements for a dive watch. Continuing down to the bracelet, there are quite some things to mention. A lot of people and reviewers say that the bracelets on these Paganis almost all of the time are garbage and must be changed right when you get the watch, and I have to say that there is some truth to that. Yes, there are minuses which we will talk about in a minute, but I find the bracelets on both this Pagani and the PD1661 model to be decent and quite comfortable. And the thing is that yes, you can pull off a NATO on the Submariner, but on a Yachtmaster style, nothing fits as good as the original metal bracelet in my opinion, and I can live with this one. Again, classic style polished metal links as well as the size of the bracelet, and the rest is brushed. The clasp is signed with the Pagani Design, and as you can see they've tried to mimic the glide lock clasp of the Rolex, and the clasp is where the problems start. First of all, this is the first Pagani that I have which clasp is this hard to open, even harder than the PD1661 that I've had. You have to get your nail underneath, and before half of it comes off, the clasp opens. It should loosen up in time, and on wrist the opening is not so hard, but still it is a very stiff clasp. It has an easy link so you can have a bit more space for your wrist if needed, but I personally use it for a better fitment. The micro adjustments on the inside are very hard to use as you only have this small opening on the link to access the pin, and they're quite far apart from each other, so I found the best fitment to be sizing it a little tighter and then opening the easy link. The links are held with screws, everything is fine here, very easy to size at home. This time again I will leave the final verdict on the bracelet to you. The case has a very nice mix between polished and brushed surfaces, the sides are highly polished, polishing seems to be even throughout, and the top of the lugs is brushed. Also, another thing that I found interesting is that the side of the bezel is brushed and the top part is polished, so there is a nice separation. You also get a signed crown with Pagani Design's logo. There is a see-through case back revealing the best workhorse movement for the price, the Seiko NH35A. 41 hours of power reserve, hacking and hand winding, and extreme reliability. These movements are known to last years and years, and when they do break, you can just easily buy another movement for $25 to $30 on AliExpress or eBay. It is a screw-in case back, which gives this watch 100 meters of water resistance. I cannot really guarantee that this watch will withstand the water test. I've always wanted to try, but I couldn't really bring myself to do it, and I probably never will. But there are quite a couple of videos on YouTube in which these Yachtmasters easily survive 60 meters, so it should be all good for a light swim. Now we come to the face of the watch, and let's start with the bezel. Even though it looks like a plastic insert to me, the specs on the side as well as the seller itself says it is a ceramic bezel insert, so I guess we have to believe him on that. The bezel is 60 click unidirectional and has quite a nice action, although this is the place where Pagani Design cheaped out again. There's a lot of backplay, the whole bezel feels quite wobbly, and I can't really get a proper alignment to the chapter ring. Also, the edges of the bezel are quite sharp, which helps for a better grip, but it doesn't help for the overall wearing experience. The raised numbers and markers on the bezel are even sharper, which wouldn't really be a problem if it wasn't for the fact that it gets caught on fabrics really easily, and when cleaning the watch with your shirt or just putting your sweater on, it can pull few strings out for sure, so that is something to consider. Even with all of these negative points, the bezel looks very nice with this dial and the presence is definitely there. The dial is covered by a sapphire crystal. Both the crystal itself and the Cyclops are sapphire. I've tested both of them with the diamond selector tool and it turned out to be positive. I personally love the Cyclops on watches, and this one turned out to be very good. It is perfectly aligned with the date wheel and it magnifies how it should. The dial is the star of the show on this watch. It is a grey sunburst dial, and here are some shots in the different lighting so you can really appreciate the beauty of it. Goes very well with the bezel and it blends with the whole grey scheme of the watch. One slight improvement which I really like is that they removed the Explorer writing, which used to be under the Pagani design. Makes the dial look way more cleaner and less cluttered, but it seems to me that they only removed it on this grey variant, as the blue dial one that I also had still had the Explorer on the dial. The printing is crisp, there is nothing to mention, and the good thing is that I cannot see any dust particles on the dial, which are common on these cheaper Chinese watches. They really made sure to make it right. The raised indices are also applied nicely. Here is the lume shot. They have a very lovely blue color, although the lume doesn't last for very long and fades rather quickly. Lastly, the operation of this watch is easy. Since it is 100 meters water resistant, you need to unscrew the crown. Then if you pull to the first position, you can adjust the day. And if you pull to the second position, you can adjust the time. When everything is set, don't forget to screw the crown back on. And that is pretty much it about the watch. So there you go, here's my full review on this Pagani Design PD1651. If it is worth the money, it's for you to decide. I've stated both positives and negatives that I found. In my opinion, it's worth every single penny, and that is why I'm keeping it. My main reason why I like it is that it's a bit flashier and it matches very nicely with the chains that I like to wear often. And it's also very versatile, it can go with many outfits. I will leave the link to this Pagani design in the description down below if you're interested. And as always, if you have any sort of questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comments down below. And if you like my video, please leave a like and also consider subscribing and hitting that little bell so you'll get notified when I upload a new video. And now thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.